Living high in the Appalachian rainforest, sitting on the porch at the closing of the day, watching that old sun sink behind the ridgeline, while the evening mist turns the mountains blue and gray. Tomatoes in the garden glowing red in the twilight, corn still holding sunshine underneath its leaves. Daylight slowly gives itself to darkness, and a little mountain wind comes wandering through the trees. Hot Appalachian nights, fireflies shining like stars among the pines, moon wearing a halo, Venus hanging bright, while the whole wide mountain sings into the night. I don't need much more than this old porch of mine, a cool breeze blowing in these hills in sight. Lord, I know exactly where I belong, here on a hot Appalachian night. The morning doves are cooing as the daylight disappears. Squirrels quit their calling and the songbirds settle down. Then the crickets strike a rhythm from the shadows, and the cicadas raise a chorus all around, rising to a roar and falling back to silence, like the mountains breathing underneath the summer sky. There's a music here no human hand could ever write, but if you sit still long enough, you'll hear the reason why. Hot Appalachian nights, fireflies shining like stars among the pines, moon wearing a halo, Venus hanging bright, while the whole wide mountain sings into the night. I don't need much more than this old porch of mine, a cool breeze blowing in these hills inside. Lord, I know exactly where I belong, here on a hot Appalachian night. Fireflies are drifting like green lanterns through the timber, little earthly stars where the darkness meets the trees. A halo around the moon hangs softly over a hogback, and the last sweat of the daytime dries away upon the breeze. Then an owl calls lonely somewhere higher on the hillside, and midnight brings the coyotes singing wild and free. There's 1,000 voices speaking from these mountains, and somehow every one of them sounds like home to me. Maybe heaven isn't somewhere past the clouds. Maybe sometimes heaven settles quietly around, in the smell of summer earth, in the river, in the trees, in the things you only notice when you finally let yourself be still enough to see. chilly, hot Appalachian nights, fireflies shining like stars among the pines, moon wearing a halo, Venus hanging bright, and the whole wide mountain singing me goodnight. I don't need much more than this old life of mine.
All right. Good evening, friends and neighbors, and welcome back to the Rabun County RAG. Trying something different tonight. I'm trying to dual stream on YouTube, which I've been on for quite a while now, but I'm trying it on Facebook. I don't know if I've got the settings right. I don't know if I'm even getting out, but I'm moving forward. Good evening, friends and neighbors. Welcome once again to the Rabun County RAG. Now, last week I stepped outside the normal boundaries of this program and talked about something that concerns me deeply. The proposed water project at Tallulah Falls. That's the Demarest Water Project. And I've continued thinking about it all week. As I've said before, I've never intended for the Rabun County RAG to become a political program. I still don't. But there's a difference between politics and citizenship. And when another government entity proposes acquiring land in Rabun County for infrastructure capable of removing a substantial quantity of water from the Tallulah watershed, I believe citizenship requires us to pay attention. Now, my opposition isn't based on whether I like Demarest. Demarest is our neighbor. Their citizens need water just like we do. My concern is much simpler. Rabun County should not surrender control over its finite natural resources without understanding the long-term consequences. Now, we've discussed a potential withdrawal figure of 5 million gallons per day. Before something of that magnitude moves forward, I would like some answers. What is the demonstrated need? What are the projected withdrawals, not merely the permitted maximum? What happens during a drought? What effect could it have on downstream flows? How much water is returned to the Tallulah River Basin or the Savannah River Basin? Where shall it be returned to? And what are the implications of moving water between basins? What safeguards protect water quality? What precedence does an out-of-county governmental entity acquiring property in Rabun County establish? And perhaps the biggest question of all, what does Rabun County need 50 years from now? Our children and grandchildren may need water that we're presently fortunate enough to take for granted. That's why I want to see the Rabun County Board of Commissioners, the Rabun County Water and Sewer Authority actively involved. Not shouting, not threatening, not engaging in political theater, representing us. I would like them to request the engineering studies, request the projected demand calculations, Request the withdrawal and return flow data. Request the interbasin transfer analysis. Request the drought management provisions. Request the environmental information. And if necessary, obtain independent legal and engineering advice so Rabun County isn't entirely dependent upon conclusions produced by the project proponent. Then tell the citizens what they find. If there's something we can do, contact your commissioner. Contact the Water and Sewer Authority. Attend their meetings. Write respectful letters. Ask specific questions. Request that this matter appear on public agendas. Ask our representatives to formally state Rabun County's interest before irreversible commitments are made, and attend DEMERA's public meeting on September 16th. Don't go looking for a fight. Go looking for answers. Bring a notebook. Ask one good question. Listen carefully to the answer, because effective civic participation isn't measured by how loudly we speak. It's measured by whether decision makers understand that their constituents are paying attention. I've also wondered aloud whether Rabun County has legal mechanisms of its own, including property acquisition or, under appropriate circumstances, eminent domain authority that could protect strategically important infrastructure or resources. That's a question for qualified county counsel under Georgia law, not something I'm declaring as an available solution tonight. But I certainly believe our county government should be examining every lawful option available to protect Rabun County's interest. And let me emphasize something else. My objective isn't to defeat Demarest. My objective is to ensure that withdrawals and any interbasin transfers remain in check, that incoming and outgoing water quality meets applicable standards, that quantities are accurately measured, and that Rabun County retains a meaningful voice in decisions affecting its future. That's stewardship, and that's what we're discussing. That's why we're discussing it here, because every Thursday night we say we are a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We come here to exchange ideas, resources, and information. And if those words mean anything, they have to mean something when protecting those resources requires us to speak. All right, having spent several minutes talking about protecting Rabun County, I want to spend a few minutes remembering why. Sometimes, you need to go look at home. My wife and I did something recently I recommend everyone else do occasionally. We went riding. No great expectation. No airline ticket. No hotel reservation. We simply went exploring our own backyard. We drove up to Black Rock Mountain State Park. And folks, sometimes you just forget how magnificent this place is. Black Rock reaches 3,640 feet on the eastern continental divide and is Georgia's highest state park. On a clear day, those overlooks offer views stretching for miles across the Southern Appalachians. Then we came down the mountain and we rode through the Germany community, across over to Wolford, up into the Forest Service country toward Darnell Shooting Range. And somewhere along the way, we stopped at a farm stand and bought ourselves some fresh baked cookies. Them things about that big around. Put me in a sugar coma. Now, there's an economic development program I can support. Mountain scenery and cookies. But as I drove, I kept looking around. Pastures, old barns, mountain ridges, creeks, forest roads, little communities tucked into valleys that people traveling 441 may never know exist. And I thought, this is what we're talking about protecting. Not lines on a county map, a place, a culture, water, forest, wildlife, communities, history, and people. Sometimes when we're fighting to protect something, we can become so focused on the fight that we forget to enjoy the thing we're fighting for. So here's my recommendation this week. Take an afternoon, turn off the television, put the phone away, take someone you love, and go ride around Rabun County. You may rediscover why you live here. And if you happen to cross the fresh baked cookies, well, that's just the Lord confirming you chose the right road. All right. Yeah, it was a wonderful time. Went up to the mountain, took some pictures, and sent some off to the Facebook to share with our friends and family, or our friends and families. Took her up, call it the cookie run. Take her up. She'd never been up to the Darnell shooting range over there off of Kelly Creek. Took her way up into the National Forest on roads a little less smooth than she's accustomed to. And I told her she wanted me to take her off and buy her a $3 cookie that we're going to have to take a ride up there and check out the shooting range. We're going to call it the cookie run. If she wants to go on the cookie run, that's going to be part of the deal. But anyway, overall, very good. Enjoyed the cookies. I don't remember the name of the person who has the cookie stand, but if y'all are interested, send me a chat or send me something, somewhat, get in touch with me. I've even got my email up here, or send that or get a chat, and I'll get the information from her or have her share it on the Facebook thing or whatever. A brief note here. I'm not an expert by any means on this live stream business, but I remember the day when the radio was a large part of the community, that people stayed in touch with one another through the radio. Now, I know, thank you, Facebook, and thank you, YouTube, for allowing people to have a platform to do this kind of thing. I appreciate it, and I wanted to take advantage of it and try to develop a local community where we could come together, like the mission statement says, and exchange uh, ideas and resources and concerns, and work together to protect our community and our environment and families and all that stuff. Anyway, we come in here every Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and the show goes about an hour long. I'll crank it up a few minutes early and play some music, and it's music that I've plucked out on the mando and guitar, and uh, wrote some lyrics and ran it through one of those program deals to help me out, and that's where it comes from. So if y'all like the music, I'll even share that with you. And then we come here and we talk about hunting for a while, hunting and fishing and the outdoors for a little while. What seasons are coming up, hunting seasons, and that kind of thing. And then we go a little further and talk about other things going on in the community. Have a little marketplace segment, but we'll move along here. It is 6:17 almost. Been at it for 17 minutes. We'll move on into the hunting, fishing, and outdoors. Now, I want this program to be participatory. I want you to get in here and send me a chat, make comments on what I have to say, because I am not the utmost authority on anything. All I want to do is get on here and let's develop a community where we can gather together and talk about those things that are most important to us. But fall, it's getting close. Woods, I walk pretty regular, go on hikes 3 days a week, and I'm out in the garden here, and I'm surrounded by the forest. I'm not really in the neighborhood. I've got a little community up here on the hillside. I call where I live at Serendipity Point. And it's up off of Pinnacle, somewhere off of Pinnacle. But the woods are beginning that subtle transition towards fall. Georgia's 26, 27 hunting regs are now available. So don't rely on memory from last season. Check the current rules for the land you're hunting. Deer, youth deer, state park deer quota applications close September 1st. So boys and girls, hop online and go to the DNR and check out the applications. You may want to plug yourself into some of that and see what's available to you if you're interested now. DNR also issued a reminder this week about hunter education. I took hunter education 50 years ago. Can you believe that? 50 years ago. Georgia requires it for hunters born on or after January 1st, 1961. I was born January 15th, 1962. But anyway, who purchase a season hunting license with specified exemptions. DNR offers both online and free classroom options. There's no reason you should not have I don't care if you're 13 years, I don't care if you're 10 years old. You can go on there and take that education and feel confident, more confident when you go out there in the woods. Now, if you're a young person, I hope you go with an experienced hunter who will help you, guide you into the skill of hunting so that it can become a lifelong passion for you without any undue consequences. Excuse me. Squirrel season. Squirrel season apparently is underway, and it's one of the best opportunities we have for introducing somebody to hunting. Boy, I got a bunch of them tree rats around here. They fat too, boy. They get out there and eat about. I need to turn this mic down. I see them bumping into the red. Yeah, I see them getting out here, and I go out there and pick tomatoes, and there'll be about half of them eat, and see one every now and then doing the low crawl out the garden with a ripe tomato, one of them little plum tomatoes or cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes. But that's okay. I had plenty to eat all year round, and I think there's still some in the freezer from last year. But anyway, hunting, squirrel hunting. For these young people out there, it teaches things like patience, woodsmanship, marksmanship, observation, how to walk quietly through the woods, deer and bear preparation. Son-in-law's has captured several of them on the trail cam around here, and we're getting close enough now that procrastination needs to end. Okay? Get out there and check your stands, check your harnesses, check your bows and firearms, trail camera batteries, make sure your access routes. You don't want to be hacking through to your stand or your hunting position on opening day before daylight. It's sure not going to help your ability to make a kill. Anyway, check those access routes, mask conditions, check your license and regulations. That reminds me, my fishing license may be expired. I need to get that taken care of. Scout intelligently without putting unnecessary pressure on the woods. All right, fishing. Late summer fishing still means adjusting to heat. For the trout, favor cool, oxygenated water and early mornings. Handle fish quickly if you're just going to release them. I'm a big catch and release. If the stream temperatures are excessively warm, just consider it, giving the trout a break and turn into brim or bass or something on the lakes. On the lakes, start early or stay late. Look for deeper structure as sunlight climbs and temperature rises. Healthy fishing ultimately comes back to the subject with what we started with tonight. Healthy water. All right. 6:23 in the evening. All right. Now, any of you who know me know that I'm a safety professional in the construction industry, and I feel like I've always got to have a safety segment. So here we go. Exploring the backwoods. Our drive gives me tonight's safety topic. Forest Service roads and mountain back roads deserve respect. Before heading out, make sure you've got plenty of fuel. Carry water. Have a basic first aid kit. Look, you can get a little first aid kit put in your truck. It'll handle most anything that might happen to you while you're out there on a short day trip. Make sure you tell somebody approximately where you're going. You can ask my wife. You can expect washouts, potholes, fallen limbs, and limited cell service. I believe we went quite a ways. I told her, I said, I don't think it's but about 3 miles off the main road up to this shooting range. She said it feels like 130 miles because I was creeping up through there being real safe and, having to rock the hills and the gullies and all that stuff. And so it feels like it takes longer than it does. Uh, and remember, you're sharing these roads with hikers, hunters, wildlife, and other vehicles. If you stop along the roadway, get completely clear of traffic. And that little road we was on, one of you was going to have to back up if you ran into somebody going the opposite way. One of you was definitely going to have to back up to find a wide spot in the road. Exploring is supposed to create memories. Let's make sure they're good ones, okay? Let's make sure they're good ones. I could tell you a couple stories taking my wife up through here. I've only officially lived in Rabun County for 10 years, so I'm relatively a newcomer, so to say. But in my mind, I've lived here probably 50 years. I first started coming up here as a sophomore or junior in high school, at least twice, probably 4 times a year for the camping and the fishing. And I remember the days when it was still quite rural, that the 4-lane didn't exist up through here. It wasn't finished. And we came up 197 out of Clarksville, I guess, or Demorest down in there. Came up 197 up the back road into Lake Burton. And I remember the days where there just weren't that many. There were some cabins on Lake Burton, and we put a boat in one night, bunch of high school kids. We was going to do some night fishing, and it was dark on that lake. And we found ourselves trying to figure out where we were before we finally made it back to the hatchery. Anyway, wonderful memories, and I'm sure there are plenty of memories left to be had in Rabun County. So make sure as you're getting out there, be safe, make sure you're prepared. We did run out of phone service up there. I can't remember the name of that. Was it Darnell Creek or Darnell Creek Road? It was a real fun time going up there for me, especially watching my wife bounce and hang on. That was the best part, I think. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the weather. Summer's beginning to loosen its grip. As a matter of fact, this week I've gotten up at midnight, 2 a.m, and opened the sliding glass door in the bedroom and could feel that cool air rush in, and I left the doors open. And I've got a man door down here in the man cave. It didn't have a screen on it, so my wife bought me one of those screens with the magnets in it. You can open it up, come in and out, and leave this basement door open with that screen, and leave the door open going up the stairs with the doors open upstairs, and it created a real nice chimney effect. And heaven knows I could use a break on that HVAC bill, and I definitely needed the fresh air. So anyway, we're still dealing with August warmth and humidity. This is the 27th. We got 4 more days and August will be gone. We'll be into September, but we're beginning to see little hints of what's coming. Watch those afternoon thunderstorms. Had one roll through here earlier today, and it was a darn frog choker, man. I swear it was raining literally cats and dogs or frogs or whatever old folks used to say. But watch the afternoon thunderstorms, we had a big hit right up the hill here. I told my wife, there goes the pump again, our community well system. I said, there goes the pump again. But particularly if you're hiking ridges or spending time on the lakes, be careful out there. If you can hear that thunder, get the heck off that lake. Find cover. And we're also entering the period when mornings can begin offering those first little whispers of September. Not fall yet, but you can almost smell it coming. Gardeners and hunters alike know what that means. The calendar is fixing to get busy. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was down here scripting this show and doing some other stuff and got tired of sitting here in the studio and walked out there and started pulling up the stuff out of the garden and pitching it down the hill there into the compost pile. And, just doing that regular stuff. Anyway, I tell you what, we're heading into it. Y'all send me a chat. Let me say hello. Let me know you're watching. I'd like to really hear from you. Join the conversation. Give me some trouble. Give me some comment. Make me have to think about something. Engage me. That's what I need, engagement. Remember, this show ain't about me. I'm just trying to beat the drum and beat some activity and get this thing going and develop some interest. But as we're moving along, it's time to talk a little bit more about the garden. I've had some since last week, I told you I had ordered some kale and turnip and collard greens, and I still ain't got those seeds, and I'm starting to get a little upset. I'm wanting to get these things growing here because the first frost went right around Halloween. Let's see, September, October. If I could get 6 weeks start on those things, they'll be in good shape when I put them in the garden, but I need to get them going now. But anyway, late August is an interesting time in the garden. One hand is still harvesting the summer, and the other is preparing for fall. Now, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm fixing to enter into my 3rd year of no-till. Now, I still get weeds. I heavily mulch, but here's the benefit, that the weeds come up real easy. The ground stays relatively soft because of all the mulch. And at the last part of summer, I kind of quit worrying about the weeds because I know they won't grow enough to rob any nutrients or space from the other plants. But now they're really coming. If anybody wants some poke salad, I got a couple of beautiful poke plants in the corner of my garden. If you like to make some kind of tincture from them poke berries, they say it's good for arthritis. I don't know. If you're a naturalist or a herbalist or something like that, hop on here and tell me what you know about poke bushes or poke plants and poke berries and what the medicinal use of them are. Got some sumac at the top of the hill. I need to refresh my memory, but I think they're the kind that you can make sumac tea from. Got kind of a citrusy flavor. But keep harvesting the tomatoes and the peppers. The harvest is definitely falling way off. Those old tomato horned worms did a job on the tomatoes in my garden this year, but I don't like using pesticide. So, and I only fertilize maybe twice throughout the year. Once when I put them in the ground, and then I'll lightly fertilize when they start producing. But I'm trying to build the soil so that it's a naturally healthy soil for plants. But anyway, send me a chat and let me know what your garden philosophy is. Like I said, I was out there today. I was pulling plants that were past their prime and dying, just getting them out, starting to clear them out. Definitely, that's why I was saying don't let those weeds go to seed. That's what I was out there doing this a little bit this afternoon before the rain came in. And and it's time, like I said, to begin working those fall vegetables into the rotation. I am planting collards, kales, and turnips. I'm not sure about radish or carrots or lettuce or spinach. I've done pretty good in the past, but I'm a collard green and turnip fella, and I'll fill it in with kale. Now, one thing I seriously considering is running up there to the Home Depot and see if they got any cabbage seeds. I might try and do that. I like a little steamed cabbage with some salt pork in it. Anyway, all right. And if your garden produces more than you can use, share it. A bag of tomatoes carried across the property line has probably improved more neighborly relations than half the laws ever written. Hey, listen, we got fall coming up. There's ample, great opportunities with local events. I see here this weekend at Tallulah Gorge State Park, you got campfires, s'mores, and more scheduled for Friday evening, August 28th from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Teora Campground. At Black Rock Mountain, there's a guided Tennessee rock hike. And brother, that's quite a hike. I've done that a time or two, and I'll probably do it this fall, but you better be in pretty good shape with that hike. A fat boy like me struggled through it, but if you're like a light person in relatively good shape, you'll be all right. Anyway, from 6 to 9, so that's 3 hours. That's about right. Hour up, hour back. Then there's yoga at the Overlook, Saturday morning from 9:30 to 10:30. I tell you what, if I'm going to do yoga, I need to be there at the break of light. I don't want to be out there in the broad daylight showing off my inability to do yoga. Now, Foxfire has a 2-day beginning weaving class scheduled Friday and Saturday. It's another opportunity to experience the traditional skill sets that have long been part of Appalachian culture. Hey, Friday night, once again, Rabun County football is home against Metter. That game starts at 7:30. Hell, I'm in bed by 9. I don't know if I'd get to watch the whole thing. Saturday morning, got the Clayton Farmers Market scheduled from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And don't forget the Mountain City Flea Market. I love getting up there. That's the finest origins of free enterprise. Free enterprise and capitalist ambitions. So get to those flea markets, get to those farmers markets, get out there, participate, spend some money locally, meet somebody. That's how communities stay alive. All right. Now, the Rabun County RAG Marketplace. This is where we buy, sell, trade, and share. All right, this is a little electronic version of the Old Country Store bulletin board. You got something you don't need? Tell us. If you're looking for something, tell us that too. tools, fishing equipment, camping gear, garden supplies, canning jars, lumber, plants, tractor implements, produce, and don't forget knowledge. All right, don't forget knowledge. Got the old phone binging away here. Maybe you need somebody who knows how to sharpen a chainsaw, repair a small engine, learning how to preserve mushrooms. Preserve vegetables. Identify a mushroom. The wife and I had a conversation with the attendant up there at the visitor center at Black Rock Mountain yesterday, and the conversation did turn to getting out there and hunting down uh, mushrooms, how to identify them. If you need somebody to teach you how to tie a fly, matter of fact, this cabinet behind me is loaded down with tie flying supplies. I still do every now and then. I think I got some right here. I can't show you there. Yeah, maybe I can. Here we go. Let me get that thing off. There we go. Yeah, there's some. I don't know if you can get them to focus. Little flies on here. Yeah. And I made that little leather cuff, and it's just a piece of sheep wool glued and sewn onto a leather cuff. And when I fish, then instead of taking that fly and putting it in putting it in the box wet where it might rust, I just stick it in that sheep's wool, and it dries out pretty good. And I just never put those back in the fly box. But tie flying, that's another thing. Rabun chapter of Trout Unlimited, I know they get together on a regular basis and share tie flying information with each other and show each other how to do it. Or if you got one of the things I'm looking for is tomato cages, or the wire to build a tomato cage. That's part of the marketplace too. Now, make sure we keep everything legal, safe, and exchange personal contact information privately rather than posting it publicly. Maybe somebody watching tonight has exactly what you're looking for. I'll name some things I'm looking for. This list seems to stay pretty steady. Looking for a broad fork. I need a broad fork because I'm not putting the tiller in the ground, but I still need to turn the soil. So I'm looking for a broad fork. I'm looking for they use it when they pour concrete slabs. It's that heavy duty. I think it's 4x4 wire mesh. If you've got an old roll of that laying around, or if you're a contractor and you got some of that laying around, you'd like to get rid of it, let me know. I'm trying to avoid buying it from the big box. I got the rest of the fall and winter now to get it taken care of before spring season. And I'm looking for mulch hay. So if you've got last year's hay, it was in the back of the barn and you pulled it out so you could keep your fresh hay in it, let me know. I don't know that I can put a big round bale on my pickup truck, but if you've got some of the square bales, I'd like to have about 10 bales of hay. Let me know if you've got some of that. And then I'm looking for, if you're cleaning out a cattle barn, I need some manure to enrich my compost. But anyway, if you've got those things, hit me up and let me know that you got them. And anybody else, if you've got things you want to get shed of, or if there's something you're looking for, get it out here. Let's get it posted. Okay, let's get it posted. All right, y'all Y'all know about Appalachian economics, don't you? I heard about the old Mount fella went to the farm stand and saw a sign. It said organic tomatoes, $4 a pound. He stared at that sign for a while and said, organic? Son, when I was growing up, we just called those tomatoes. Yeah, I told y'all, me and my wife stopped for one of those fresh baked cookies on our ride. That's when I discovered another Appalachian law of nature. Calories consumed while supporting a had a call there. Calories consumed while supporting a local farm do not count. That's not nutritional advice. That's economic development. Apparently, GPS works differently in the mountains. GPS says turn right in 500 feet. In the mountains, the directions say go past where the old Johnson barn used to be. Turn left where Earl's store burned down. And if you cross the creek twice, you've gone too far. And somehow, the mountain directions are more accurate. I asked the old fellow how far it was to the top of Black Rock. He said, it depends. I said, depends on what? He said, whether you're walking or asking. Let's see, what time is 6:47. Break out and shout outs. Let's start rolling this thing up. It's going to be a little early, but I'm tired, and the level of participation really don't demand me hanging around any much further. The people who keep a place community. I was getting kind of parched. Tonight's shout out goes to the farmers running little roadside stands, people who maintain Forest Service roads, the folks keeping shooting range usable. Thank you. It was a Jeep group about 3 weeks ago. Hey, while I'm on the subject and giving this shout out, we had people going up there and cleaning that shooting range up. And I went up there the other day, and it was a crying shame the amount of brass and shotgun shells that people just left. I didn't see much trash, and I'm grateful for that. But people, if you're going to use a natural resource, a community resource like that, please clean up after yourselves. Let's not look like a bunch of pigs, because the Forest Service just quit maintaining the road because they don't want it looking trashy up there. So if you go up there and you got shotgun or rifle, pistols or whatever, please pick up your shells, pick up your brass. It's scrap metal. You can reload it, find somebody who does reload it. That stuff is recyclable. Let's not look at it like trash. Let's keep our national forest and those that firing range, which is a wonderful resource to have right here in this county. Let's keep it as close to pristine as possible. It's a reflection on who you are. When somebody goes up there and they see all that trash laying around, they're going to be thinking, what kind of darn trashy fool left all this stuff around here. And if you're up there shooting and somebody starts to leave, hey, politely ask them, say, hey, man, aren't you going to take this brass, William? Please, let's do that. Park rangers, I thank you guys too. I'm out there walking all the time, and you guys are picking up trash and provide porta johns throughout the peak seasons. I appreciate it. And also, volunteer firefighters, thank y'all for being available and being out there. And you local growers, Wolford Valley, right through there, and the fields are green and heavy with produce that will be coming out real soon. Thank you for getting out there. Thank you to the people who work those fields. Sometimes a machine just can't do it. And also, listen, for the citizens willing to attend a meeting because something affecting their community matters to them. You don't have to hold office to practice stewardship. Sometimes stewardship is simply caring enough to show up. Please, thank you. And let's make sure we get out there and represent Rabun County at this Demarest meeting. And let's contact our local officials. You know, the WSA, matter of fact, my research says that Tallulah Falls has a WSA, a representative on the WSA board in Rabun County. We ought to get behind that fella and try to put the cahoots on this Demarest thing. Anyway, I don't want to turn it into a political thing, but let's take care of what's ours. Let's make sure that we can conserve resources for the future people of this county who aren't even born yet, aren't even here yet. Let's look out for them. Audience interaction. 2 questions. What's your favorite forgotten corner of Rabun County? That's what I wanted. I got a couple. Tate City, wonderful place. And I guess another one would be the old CCC camp up there at Moccasin Creek. Those are a couple of my favorite places to go. How about you? Share with us some of your favorite places. Not necessarily the famous place. Maybe an old road, a creek, a valley, a little farmstead, a view nobody talks about. Tell us. And secondly, what question do you want answered about the Demarest Water Project? Send it to me. We're building a list. I think I've got a list of 22 questions concerning that. And if you want those questions, contact me. Send me a chat. Contact me at my email address and say, hey, what questions you got? And I'll be more than happy to send you all the questions I've got, because I know when I show up at that meeting, they're probably going to give me 2 minutes. And 2 minutes, I might get 1 question, maybe 2 questions out, but I got a list of 22. And if we show up in force and we all have not a shouting match, not complaining, but asking legitimate questions of legitimate concerns, then and they can answer them, or whatever. We need to be there and show in force that Rabun County Rabunites are there to protect our environment and our community and our natural resources, and we're going to make sure that you're walking all the lines if this thing is going to happen. Maybe we can stop it. That's my ultimate wish, that we stop it and have them go to another place. And if necessary, Rabun County takes control of our resources and the distribution of said resources so that we can ensure that there's no interbasin transfer, that the quality of water going out of the system is up to snuff, and the quantity of water coming back into the system is up to snuff according to all applicable laws and guidelines. But anyway, that's what we need to do. Email your neighbors, call your neighbors, see your neighbors. When you go to church, talk it up. We need to keep this at the top of our priority list. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Protect what you love. Enjoy what you protect. Tonight we started with something serious: water, land, sovereignty, responsibility. And we ended up driving through the mountains, eating cookies. Maybe those things aren't as related as they sound, because before we're willing to protect something, we usually have to love it. And love grows through familiarity. Drive the back roads, walk the trails, fish the streams, visit the parks, talk to the farmers, learn the history, know the communities. Take your children, take your grandchildren, take your wife or husband, and simply go ride. Because when somebody asks, why does Rabun County matter? You shouldn't need a political argument. Look around. There's your answer. Our responsibility isn't to freeze Rabun County in time. Communities have to grow. People need homes. Businesses need opportunities. Neighbors need water. But growth and stewardship are not enemies. Responsible growth asked what tomorrow would need before consuming what today happens to possess. And that brings us right back to our original mission. We're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We exchange ideas, resources, and information. So speak up when speaking is necessary. Listen when listening is necessary. Ask questions. Demand facts. Participate respectfully. And then, every once in a while, turn off the noise. Get in the truck with somebody you love. Drive up into these mountains. Buy yourself a fresh baked cookie. And remember exactly what all the fuss is about. This is Bubba. I'm signing off from the beautiful Northeast Georgia mountains. Until next Thursday, keep your boots on the trail, your hands in the soil, and your heart in the mountains. Good night, friends, and remember, have a grateful day, have a grateful week, and we'll see you next Thursday. Good night.